There's a version of you that exists right now, not in some distant future, not after you've bought the right course or read the right book. This version is already here, buried under layers of conditioning, fear, and habits you didn't consciously choose. Here's what nobody tells you. The gap between who you are and who you could be isn't about adding more. It's about removing what was never yours to begin with. And the moment you understand what's been holding you back, everything shifts. But here's where it gets interesting. What if the very tools you've been using to improve yourself are actually the chains keeping you stuck? Let me show you something that'll probably make you uncomfortable. Think about your morning routine. You wake up, grab your phone, scroll for a few minutes, maybe check emails, maybe watch a video. Feels harmless, right? But here's what's happening in your brain during those first waking moments. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for willpower and decision-making, is at its strongest. You have roughly 90 to 120 minutes of peak cognitive function after waking. And you're spending it consuming information created by other people, for their goals, not yours. Now, I'm not here to lecture you about phone bad, meditation good. That's not the point. The point is this: someone else designed that dopamine hit. Someone engineered that infinite scroll. And they did it so well that you don't even realize you've handed over the most valuable resource you have, your attention, before you've even decided what matters to you today. But that's just the surface level. The real question is deeper. Why do we know exactly what we should do, yet still don't do it? You've read the articles: drink more water, exercise, sleep 8 hours, focus on one task at a time. None of this is new information. So why doesn't knowing equal doing? Because there's a silent war happening inside your brain, and most people don't even know they're fighting it. Your limbic system, the ancient emotional part of your brain, runs on immediate rewards. It wants comfort now, safety now, pleasure now. Meanwhile, your prefrontal cortex, the rational part, is trying to convince you that future rewards matter more. And guess which one wins most of the time? The part that's been evolving for millions of years, not the part that's only been around for a few 100,000. This isn't a character flaw, this is biology. And once you understand that you're not weak, you're just wired for a different world, the game changes completely. But here's where most people get it wrong. They try to fight biology with willpower. And willpower, that's a depletable resource. Studies show that decision fatigue is real. The more choices you make throughout the day, the worse your decisions become. That's why Steve Jobs wore the same outfit. Why Obama only wore gray or blue suits. They weren't being eccentric. They were conserving mental energy for decisions that actually mattered. But even knowing this, even reducing decisions, there's still something missing from the equation. Because I'm sure you've met someone who seems to operate on a completely different frequency. They're not smarter than you, they don't have more time, yet they're building businesses, creating art, learning languages, staying fit, all while you're struggling to stick to one habit for more than a week. What do they know that you don't? It's not what you think. It's not discipline. It's not some secret morning routine. It's something far more fundamental, and it's hiding in plain sight. Think back to a moment when you were completely absorbed in something. Maybe you were a kid building with Legos. Maybe you were reading a book you couldn't put down. Maybe you were in a conversation so engaging you lost track of time. In those moments, were you forcing yourself to focus? Were you using discipline? No. You were pulled forward by something inherent in the activity itself. That state, psychologists call it flow. And here's what's fascinating: people who regularly access flow states report being up to 500% more productive than normal. 5 times, not 5% better, 500%. But here's the catch: you can't force flow. You can only create conditions where it's more likely to emerge. And this is where we hit the real barrier. Because creating those conditions requires you to unlearn almost everything you've been taught about productivity and success. It requires you to stop treating yourself like a machine that needs to be optimized and start understanding yourself as a complex system that needs the right environment. Let me give you a real example. There's a writer named Mason Curry who studied the daily routines of hundreds of successful creators. And you know what he found? Chaos. Complete chaos. Some wrote in the morning, some at night. Some drank coffee, some abstained completely. Some worked in silence, others needed noise. There was no formula, no perfect routine, but there was a pattern. Every single one of them had figured out their own rhythm. They discovered, through trial and error, when their energy peaked, what environment supported their work, and what their mind needed to access its highest state. They didn't copy someone else's system, they built their own. And this is the part nobody wants to hear because it's harder than buying a course. You have to experiment. You have to treat your life like a laboratory, track what works, notice what doesn't, adjust, repeat. There's no guru who can tell you exactly how to unlock your potential because your potential is unique to your wiring, your history, your current life circumstances. But there's a framework that makes this process faster. Start by identifying your energy signatures. For 1 week, track how you feel every hour, not just tired or awake, but what kind of energy you have. Is it creative energy, analytical energy, social energy, physical energy? Most people never differentiate, so they try to do creative work when they have analytical energy and wonder why it feels like pulling teeth. Once you know your energy map, you can start designing your day around it instead of against it. If your creative peak is 6 a.m., that's sacred time. Guard it. If your social energy peaks in the evening, that's when you take meetings or connect with people. Stop fighting your natural rhythms and start collaborating with them. But energy management is only half the equation. The other half is environment design. And this is where it gets really interesting because your environment isn't just your physical space. It's the information you consume, the people you interact with, the conversations you have with yourself. Every input shapes your output, every single one. Here's a question that might sting. Who are you becoming based on what you consumed this week? Not who you want to become, who you're actually becoming. Because your brain doesn't know the difference between fiction and reality when it comes to emotional input. When you watch someone achieve something on screen, your brain releases the same neurochemicals as if you achieved it. You get the satisfaction without the work. This is why binge-watching success stories can actually make you less likely to take action. You've already gotten the reward. Your brain thinks you've already done the thing, so it has less motivation to actually do it. The people operating at their highest level understand this. They're ruthlessly selective about what enters their mind, not because they're elitist, but because they know every input has a cost. Every piece of information either moves them closer to who they want to become or pulls them further away. There's no neutral. And once you start seeing your attention as your most valuable currency, everything changes. You stop mindlessly scrolling. You stop consuming just to consume. You start asking, does this serve my highest self? But here's the final piece, and it's the one that ties everything together. Your highest potential isn't a destination. It's not a version of yourself you'll reach someday if you just work hard enough. It's a direction, a commitment to continuous alignment between who you are and who you're capable of becoming. Some days you'll be closer, some days you'll drift. That's not failure, that's being human. The difference between people who unlock their potential and people who don't isn't talent. It isn't circumstances. It's this. They decided that the discomfort of growth was more tolerable than the quiet ache of knowing they could be more. They chose expansion over comfort, and they made that choice every single day in small ways until it became who they are. That version of you I mentioned at the beginning, it's not waiting for permission. It's waiting for you to remove what's in the way. And now you know where to start. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. This will help me create more videos like this. So thank you for subscribing. See you in the next one.